shortly. All right. Hi. It seems like we're live. Hey, how's everyone doing? We are live with our second episode. Some of you might have seen us in the first, which was a Zoom call, but now we're live on the Bolt live streams. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch. We're on X. We're on LinkedIn. We're everywhere, Emil. So this is really exciting. If you haven't already seen this before, my name is Petros Hong. This is Emil. Yeah, let me mute my YouTube because it's coordinating there. But yeah, we'll be looking at your comments from all these different social platforms. If you haven't already heard about it, Bolt is doing the largest hackathon ever. We have over 118,000 people signed up. We have over $1 million in prizing. So much is on stake. And there's never been a better time to get into this because we have so many resources available to you, mentors, advice, people left and right, people like Emil who are just helping people nonstop on the live stream. So if you haven't already, check out the Discord live stream for Bolt because you're going to get so much information there. So to top it off, my name is Petros. A little bit about myself. I'm a vibe coder. I've spent thousands of dollars, months and months working with developers. And now, once vibe coding came out, I just gave that a shot. And since then, I realized you can do so much. With like a $20 membership, you can build something in a day. And then I've been doing like hackathons since then, which has been so much fun. I recently did an AWS MCP hackathon where I got first for LinkUp, second for N8N, and fifth for Minimax. So I've completely transformed my life, deep dived into this, and I am a mentor for this Bolt hackathon. So my friend Emil has been a huge help to the Bolt community, going live stream, helping people left and right, answering their questions live. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to showcase him today. Such a great person, senior automations engineer who's here to help us out. And based upon our first stream, we're going to go deeper into the PRD. Now, Emil, take us away, and you want to walk us through what is a PRD?
Good day. Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure. Today, we're going to jump into PRD, product requirements documentation, in an advanced form, and a bit more than a product requirement documentation. We're going to understand how to implement bigger projects and how to keep track of those projects. So today we have a special product we're building, and I think it's time we share a screen here.
Perfect.
Okay, so we're going to do this for fun. I tried to think of something that we all know. We all know it's a do app. It's one of our first apps we're supposed to build in any course, 100-day Python course, 100-day React course. They'll make you build a to-do app. But today we're going to attempt to start a super Lux to-do app. So it's got a few features, and this is just for fun. So I've created this PRD that has a lot of detail. This is not a simple to-do app. This is a deep dive to-do app. It's got a lot of extra features and communications and backend functions, and it's a very detailed PRD. So you'll see that we are definitely climbing into the extended detail of what a PRD can look like and having a design system. But our previous session, we covered what a PRD is and how we create this PRD. So I'm going to skip all of that today. We are going to take a created PRD, and we're going to go to bolt.new, and then we're going to put that PRD in. But what makes it today special is that we are going to go through a few additional steps of managing this PRD. So we're going to start off with our first prompt, and I'm going to go through this step for step, and we will share this as well in the chat. So first step, what we're going to do is, firstly, we're going to write a PRD to a folder called docs.prd.md. So it's going to take this PRD and then write it and dump it into a folder for us. That's important so we can bring it out of the chat context and we can always refer to it later. Very, very important. Secondly, we are going to go and write a detailed itemized project plan and phases to docs/project plan MD. MD stands for Markdown file. And then we're going to tell it to focus only on the landing page for phase one. Because for this exercise, we are we're only going to build a landing page now, and we're going to kick this off. And if things go well, we'll see a landing page. But that's not actually what I will show you guys tonight. Tonight, I want to show you how to structure your project in such a way that it's more robust. It will hit the target on the first attempt. And this is not a one-shot attempt. This is just turning your idea into a PRD and seeing it come to fruition with less stress. So third step is going to be create a docs memory MD file and use as previous, current, and next task manager as a memory bank. Essentially, this is your RAM. The focus here is to allow the stepping through the itemized tasks to happen in a short-term memory fashion here. Essentially, what we are doing is we're telling Bolt to go and split up our PRD, which isn't necessarily a project plan. A PRD is a product requirements documentation. It's not necessarily the detailed plan with action items. So we can even here write a detailed itemized project plan in phases with action items. We can even do that. And then with the memory, we're going to be looping basically through all of those action items, only working on the previous, current, and next tasks in the memory bank. This allows Bolt to focus. What is busy right now, and what's the next steps? So often with bigger projects, you'll find that LMM coders lose track, or they lose context. So what we are going to do next with this current task management, we're going to be dumping and logging all the changes after each task to a changelog MD in semantic format. That's a standardized format for changelog management. This will allow us to go and see what has been done, top down in the project. So this format also is fit to plug into any of your other changelog flows you might have, or it will be a way for you to actually turn that around and create a changelog on your website. So when you do that, you can go and read this file afterwards and then ask Bolt to create a changelog page on your website. So all of your changes are already there. And then if you're in the build and public space, this is a great way to take those changes and then display it. And you can continuously update your changelog page with the changes that your project is generating. So that's a nice little hack for the build and public crew. And then something that is often skipped when people come to a Bolt interface and a chat interface and they type out, I want to create a to-do app. That's not any detail at all. We are needing to explicitly give detail. If there's absolute one hot take about this lesson tonight is do not hold back on detail. You'll often find that the frustrations in executing on a PRD is exactly the areas you did not detail enough. And this is now where we are going to go in detail, ask it to go and create a backend file with all the backend operations. So in the areas that your PRD might not have specified those backend operations, it will actually think about those backend operations. And when we are thinking, Petros, can you just maybe mute your keyboard there? Because so on this backend operations, thank you. We are going to force Bolt to think about what are all those backend operations. Now, despite us having a backend section here and a technical stack section, this technical stack section that we've detailed and having a schema might not be sufficient. We have an actual backend architecture structure, but there might be nuances here that is not detailed and or is not detailed enough. So by forcing it to actually think about backend operations and to dump those thoughts into a backend file, you actually help it reiterate over the backend operations. So that helps a lot, and especially into the future when you get to building the backend out, you actually have a complete backend documentation for how to hook that all up. So next up is schemas, which depending on the backend operations and the file, that usually is not necessarily part of the backend operations, but we're going to write the schemas now in a separate file. So we can just focus, again, it comes down to focus and thought, and that we're going to focus on the schemas and dump all the schemas into a file. Now, schemas are your database columns and tables and columns, all of the different types of tables, what structure, what relationships they have, what data types the columns have, and all of that together will give you a view on your data architecture structure. And that's very, very important. How many tables do your app need? And what kind of tables does your app need? So the schemas file will dig into all of your tables and your columns, and it will explain what your backend structure is. And of course, you can go and review all of these files and make changes as you wish. That's not a problem at all. So the next step is that we are writing all the API documentation to a API documentation file. This will create endpoints, and we can even specify here, back to specifics, make the world go round at the moment with these kind of things. So we're going to say write API documentation with endpoint details and functions. So what is behind those functions on the endpoints to API documentation. And this is also quite important, because at the end of your project, or when you get to the point of wanting to rig up your project, this API documentation might not have been covered in your PRD. So again, we're forcing the thought process to go through API documentation and to dump all of that into a file. And then from there on, one very, very nifty hack, and don't tell anybody I told you so, but actually you should. This little line here is absolute magic. So we are going to write any enhancements, improvements, and items out of scope of the original PRD to docs enhancements.md. What this does, it dumps all of the over-engineering thoughts into a file. And essentially, a lot of the times the PRD might have elements that's missing or lacking, or it sees that there's some AI integration and which this app has. So let's add, in the process of reading the PRD, it will automatically add more features and over-engineer. Some call it over-engineering, some call it hallucinating, but the reality is that if you don't specify it, there'll be assumptions being made. And when a highly intelligent model with a lot of billions of parameters training make an assumption, you can bet that an assumption will definitely be an over-engineering element. So this writes any enhancements, improvements, items out of scope. You essentially tell it to go and put all the engineering thoughts in one file and continue with the rest. So you draw a line for all the items that you didn't ask for. But the nice trick here is, if you are looking for additional features or upsells, if there's a client project and you need to go upsell to the client, you can go and get some ideas here. Because this file, but this is not part of the presentation we will get to, is to actually see what's been dumped into that enhancements file. But I found some brilliant ideas dumped there, which wasn't part of my PRD. So that's a little gold mine here, absolute gold mine. So next step that we're going to go through is write a detailed marketing plan. I mean, well, why not? We are already crafting a lot here, and well, it's actually understanding the essence of the project. and understanding all of the elements that's required to build this project, we might as well lean into a marketing plan. So we're just going to dump that into Marketing Plan MD, and we'll get back to it later. Because essentially, if you're looking for ideas, this is again a great way to go and very quickly generate a launch plan. Because I've been especially asking to launch our site, and that's just going to be customized for your project itself. Okay, so this is a build your prompt exercise, and I'm going to stop here before we make it more complicated. But this is a really good start for a project management system with inbuilt. Now, I've started this hackathon not using this. I use this in my day job, Cursor, Klein. I've been using this for months, very, very successfully. And halfway through the hackathon, I was like, well, why don't I just try and do it on Bolt? And it worked. So I'm very happy to share these little hacks. So complete the above list, complete the list above, and then continue with phase one. So we're only going to be tackling phase one. Prompt the user when done with phase one to review. So we actually wanted to stop and not continue with phase two. We wanted to prompt us and say, okay, we're done with phase one, and what are we going to do to continue to phase two? Well, we're firstly going to review it, and when we're done with reviewing, all we have to do is ask and say, continue with phase two. So that's it. So we are going to go and just do a little quick top-down review. We're building a super luxe to-do app. It's got a nice vision statement to become the premier task management platform for celebrity assistants and high-profile personal assistants, providing unparalleled luxury, security, and collaboration capabilities that match sophisticated needs of elite clientele. I'd say that's not a boring to-do app. So we now going to blast off this prompt, and we've got all our steps here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And just in case, Emil, before you submit the prompt, you want to copy and paste the end part of 1 through 9. I think a lot of people in chat are like, they're actually talking about this too much. They want access to that. I don't know if you're willing to share. I know it's recorded so people can see.
And I am very happy to share this.
Well, that's good. People were asking, how did you get your initial prompt? We covered this in our first lesson, but in case you're joining us for the first time, Emil's strategy was going on Grok first, getting the initial prompt, and then from that, enhancing that prompt, which a lot of people don't do, enhancing that on Claude. So after you do those 2 steps, you'll have a very strong layout for what to build. Now, this magic sauce that Emil brought up is what you add at the end of the prompt. So just to kind of give some more context for people who are joining us for the first time. Hellwing says this is gold, and yes, I 100% agree. This is months and months of Emil's vibe coding, building AI tools knowledge summed into a few prompts. So this is amazing, Emil. Please continue.
Well, this is one prompt magic at the moment. Okay, so basically we've shared it there. I'm sure the mods will share it in the chat. I've waited so we can actually showcase it first before we share it. So this is now showcased. We're going to blast this off just now. So this is a very generic approach. It's not too customized to the project. You can play around with this a lot more. But the principle here is to understand that there are thought processes that lead to resolution, results, and outcomes. That when you've gone through a thought process, it actually enhances the overall integrity of the idea of the project, of project planning. So I'm just going to we're going to blast this off, and then we're going to quickly have a look on that PRD, just how do we get here, because I'm sure we've got people here that weren't in our previous session. So this is the part where we go. Now, we're going to go to the file structure here and see there's no docs created here at the moment. And as soon as I finished thinking and it's analyzed our very big PRD, it will start taking action, create a docs folder. It will put those files in a docs folder. It's first doing a summary analysis overview for us. And you can see it automatically created the docs PRD. So it's writing the PRD for us, and it's going to continue through all of those steps that we asked now. All 1, 2, 3 for all of them. And then because we asked to continue with phase 1, and we specified the phase 1 needs to be only for the landing page, because we don't want to get stuck now with rigging up a backend. For this kind of project, it's definitely a bigger build. So if we quickly look on the summary here, and this is something I don't have control over, is what the summary is. But the core features is a luxury-focused landing page with premium aesthetic, security-first messaging and positioning, team collaboration, highlight sections, premium pricing, positioning, mobile responsive luxury design, design elements, sophisticated color palette. I don't know we get sophisticated color palettes. With Noor, platinum, and gold accents. So playful display for headlines, inter for body text, subtle animations, and micro interactions, luxury car designs, professional gradient backgrounds. That sounds all very snazzy. I like it. So you can see it's going to be kicking off. So we're going to come back to this just now. So let's just quickly entertain. How did we get to this PRD? I'll take a very quick detour here. And it was really not such a big undertaking to get to a very sophisticated PRD. And I'm going to come back and emphasize that the over engineering could be used to benefit, but you kind of want to steer it in a direction. It's like having a lot of horsepower. You want to steer it in the right direction. So we start off with, we want to build a super luxe to-do app that has a team function for celebrity assistants to manage their to-dos for them. We will be building using Bolt, New, Vite, Superbase. Need a landing page, login views, and dashboard. Create a detailed PRD. So this is my phase 1 for creating the backbone for PRD. Now, our product requirements document is a scope which usually goes into the hands of a product owner. And the product owner would be the person that interfaces with the client, interfaces with the project managers, and the interface with the dev team. So the product owner will need to steer the development of the product on all fronts: design, interactions, support, development, the whole toot. The product owner needs to own the whole product development process. So we now have a reasonably okay PRD. And I've used ChatGPT for PRDs, and I've used Grok, and I've used Cloud. So the secret sauce here is to come and create your backbone PRD that's got the initial key features laid out and enough of it. And you know we're going to be using Superbase, and we know we're going to be dealing with a few elements that we have all, that we know Bolt is capable of. And then I took this and I came to Cloud, and I simply asked it to enhance this PRD in great detail, including backend portion and design system. And it took this 6-step, well, minus the development timeline, it's called a five-step PRD, and it created a 5-page PRD. And that is the little secret sauce for getting to a PRD that has a lot more detail and a lot more specifics about the product you're building. So that's a quick rundown how we get here. And of course, ideally, you want to spend some time on your PRD, you want to spend some time planning, you want to ideally spend more time on a cup of coffee on your PRD, because there's a lot of technicalities here that we have over-engineered now, because we kind of gave it the creative license when we said enhance it. We didn't specify to what extent, we didn't specify technical limitations. You could play around here and say that, well, we've got these technical constraints. We want to bring it down to MVP state even. I can ask it to say, give me the MVP version of this project and only focus on the MVP version. But for this exercise, we wanted to create a PRD that is more detail and as a decent backend structure that is more than just a simple site. So if we go back to see where we are with our project at the moment, we are going to look at our project plan now. Can I make this a little bit bigger? Now you'll see that we have a day 1 to 2, day 3 to 4. And this is the funny thing about LLMs at the moment. They don't know their own capabilities of enhancing project timelines. They're still trained on humans doing the coding project timeline. So this timeline, we should be able to actually build this in prototype mode in a day. But the reality is the technical undertakings can take a little bit longer, and the finessing of the backend can take a bit longer. But what we now have is actual deliverables for the phases. In here, we've got responsive design already done. There's performance standards, metrics we can use. There's accessibility. That's quite important. If you want to go build a decent app, you have to conform to accessibility standards. There's people that's got problems accessing the internet through normal ways. And there's design deliverables. We've got content deliverables. There's actual website copy that needs to be created as part of our phase 1. And it's broken up our PRD into actionable items, which a PRD is great, but a PRD is not a project plan. And if you had to add a PRD in the real world to a developer, they would need to break that up into actionable tasks, because a PRD is merely guidance to creating a product. It's not necessarily an actual, it's not the actual project plan and actionable tasks. So what we're doing here, we're creating actionable tasks from the PRD. Great detail, love it. So in the memory, we have a memory bank. So current status, previous task completed. So you'll see that's already completed these tasks. It's busy with a current task, so it's currently running on this task, and it will see it as today's objective. But I think this will be like in the next 10 minutes objective, and then in progress and next task. So what's great about this, again, memory bank helps it to focus on the current task, and that's what you want. You don't want it to go astray. You don't want it to go off the beaten track. You want it to go and implement this plan that you've got. And because you've planned it now, and we itemized it, hitting these implementations is a lot more sound. It's a lot more pertinent to being built right. Where when you just feed it a PRD, there's some elements there, and there's some specifics that aren't covered. So we're going to go now into the change log. There's a start of our change log that has been populated in semantic format, and there's actually references to the semantic format. And it date stamps and does version control as well. So as this project continues, it will be logging all the changes for us in a very, very professional manner. And then our backend have all of our backend architecture is documented now. Great stuff, lovely. This was all in how many minutes? We've got top tier information here. It's beautiful.
Well, the thing is, like, it might be taking longer to do the initial prompt, but what people need to understand is by setting up these foundations, solidity, having a strong foundation will not only save you time, but also prompts. So you're saving on token by planning this ahead, and having the structure already set up, it gives something for Bolt to work with. Now, a lot of people are giving there's a lot of shout outs for you, Emil. I don't know if you saw the chat. We're watching your YouTube and X chats. Eve says, go Emil. Possum XTV says, shout out Emil. Mad Sense, like, yeah, he's okay, I guess. And then other people are, Raymond says, like, reps here. We're just seeing a lot of people shouting out. So just want to give a quick shout out there. Make sure that your voices are heard. Anthony De Klerk says next level.
Absolutely next level. This is secret sauce that took months of trial and error and millions and millions and millions of token burning to understand what's capable. So just want to recap. We quickly want to jog through these last two. How are we on time for our section here?
Yeah.
Petra, are we looking
Sorry.
at
What was the question?
time? Are we looking at time on our section on the PRD?
Let's cover it real quick. I think people are really curious about
Okay.
this portion. We can always circle back to this as well tomorrow's stream. So if you haven't already, we're going to stream also tomorrow. But yeah, let's hop into this. Let's take a look.
Okay, so let's just quickly wrap up the actual document side, which is the most important here. We're not showing we're going to build a whole to-do app today live. The whole goal of this exercise was to step through what these files mean, why they're important, and how you can be using them in your project to help you build with more confidence with less tokens. So on the schema side, this is very, very important when we are creating our database tables. What the table name is, every single column, the column data type. So is it a variable? Is it a number? Is it a timestamp? What kind of data is it? And then we've got here references and relational data points. So what's the foreign keys in between these data tables to help them build relations between the tables? So this will be read. This is not for human consumption, actually. This is for scripting migration files. So we'll come back to this when we are building the backend. Then we can reference the schemas, and it will build migration files to trigger the schemas. So then API documentation. This is supposed to be more for human reading. So if you had to extend this app to developers, you can give them an API documentation pack, which covers all the endpoints, the functions, the data types. And this should be standard enough that you can hand it to a developer and they can continue building on top of what you've built here. So this is for referencing material, especially if you have a team or you need to hand over some functions to the site. All of the functions of the API endpoints are documented in the API documentation page. And then there's little enhancements, which is my favorite in all of this. I've got no idea what comes out of the enhancements file every single time. Now, if you're an ideas person, I have to warn you that this is dangerous stuff, because some of these things you haven't even thought about. So we've got so much here. I can't even run through all of this right now. So,
well, I mean, the nice thing is, Emil, like we have an episode tomorrow, but hopefully they bring us back for more. Hopefully we can go actually cover this full scale. If that's something you want, definitely give a shout out again to all the amazing people in the Bolt staff. But yeah, just so that we cover all the next grounds, we'll definitely cover this. And a lot of you guys are asking, we will share the prompt in the video description. So the recording of this video will be shared. So don't worry. We'll definitely dive in. And if you haven't already, we'll definitely, Emil's always going to be live. Oh, not always, but we'll be available on the Discord as well. Just for the sake of time, let's transition back to my screen. I'll be covering a quick overview of Supabase and that. And don't worry, guys, we're definitely going to dive back into some of those amazing things that Emil's covered. So some of the basic things that we just wanted to go over, because our last stream was very basic oriented around like, oh, how do you create a prompt? How do you enhance a prompt? How do you go over that? And I know that there are some beginners here that haven't actually used our platforms or used Bolt and all the above. So definitely check out that when we release it. For now, let's go over some of the Supabase integrations. So many of you know this, so we're just going to cover it really quick. On the top right of your website for your Bolt project, you'll be able to connect to Supabase and GitHub. Make sure those are connected. That way, you're able to access your backend and actually adjust for that. Now, there are a lot of sponsors, as you can see in my little image over here, that we'll be partnering with. We covered some of the sponsorship packages, but there's so much pricing available for this. So once you connect to the Supabase, just to give you an overview of what to understand, because a lot of people, we surprisingly don't understand how Supabase functions. So I want to just cover this really quick. Supabase is going to be your backend functions for authentication, database, and more so. Once we connect it, this can actually cover your table editors, which goes over your information, such as for this a calorie site, being able to process your types of foods and more so. SQL editor will give you a lot more functionality for your database as well as functions within how they work alongside each other. Your database on your Supabase is going to go over the schema visualizers, some of more of your other tables, and more so. Authentication is going to be great because that's how you access your users, and you can have like adjust your policies for that. But don't worry, if this is all like crazy to you, you'll have Bolt chat. And of course, 90% of you who are watching do understand, but because it's recorded, we just want to cover that. So yeah, your Bolt chat, once it's connected to Supabase, will work with Supabase and actually give you access to that. There's something called storage where you're actually able to upload your own audio files, images, and videos. You just create a new bucket, and from that bucket, let's say if I want to make this like audio, make that a public bucket, you're actually able to then drag and drop files into this. Then you'll give it a UI ID that you copy and paste back to your Bolt chat, which is super easy to integrate. People are like, oh, how do I connect that? Well, it's super easy. The Bolt has made it very easy to work with Supabase to apply those functions. Now, I mentioned functions. Here's edge functions. A lot of people surprisingly don't know this. And of course, we have a mix of advanced people who are like, this is my palm of my left hand. I already know this. And those who are joining us for the first time. Supabase, again, for the backend functions, will have something called secrets. And this is just part of my API key. So don't worry about that. You're going to be able to work with these sponsors by connecting your API key. So you go, let's say if I go to XAI, I get my API key from there. And then I'm going to put the label for this. And this is pretty important, at least for me, is when I label my API key, I normally label the name _ API _ key, all caps. That way, when I add the values here, which is all hidden and more so, I'm able to then access these API keys without having to put it directly in my Bolt chat. This is the safest way, at least my opinion, for making sure your connections with API keys are covered. And then from here, you just copy and paste let's say the key name, and then put it back to your Bolt chat. Like, oh, we're connected with XAI. Please, for this proportion, use this API key. And that way, you don't have to share your environment more so. Real time, you don't have to worry as much. So there's more for like some of the games and some of the other things. And of course, there's other information here. I will mention briefly, say, for example, for your edge functions. So let's say your functions for utilizing API key, a way to bug, let's say your API key is not working. I covered this in a video that we might share, but essentially you're able to access logs, which will give you the error reasons. Oh, this API key is not working, and here's why it's not working. So now that we covered a little bit about Supabase, your project settings will cover some of your URLs and more so. But for Bolt, it's already integrated, so you don't need to access those URLs or those links, but that's just something for you to be made aware of. Now covering GitHub, something that a lot of people don't do, and I definitely recommend it. Of course, this is, a lot of you might already know this, is once you connect it to your GitHub, on your GitHub itself, you want to be able to save and download the files. So the code itself, just make sure along the way, it's fine to just save this as a zip. You can always pull this back, and GitHub is where your code's going to live quick and easily. So if a lot of you aren't aware, this is going to be where your code lives, and it's great to keep backups. I definitely recommend it. A lot of people run into issues where their whole project's messed up, and they never saved it. So definitely check out the GitHub. Be sure to save there. Now, that was just a quick overview of that. Lastly, let me just cover Netlify. You're able to deploy your site by clicking your Bolt sites by clicking deploy. But I would definitely recommend for you to go to the settings of your Bolt website and then go to your applications where you're then able to connect directly to your Netlify to make sure you're connected to your Netlify, Supabase, and more so. It's just a way to make sure that when you deploy, you don't have to like claim the URL. It's a very simple, neat trick, but Bolt makes it super easy for you to share in regards to your hackathon projects and for projects you're trying to make publish. So again, when you deploy it, those will be the links that you share for your dev post, which we'll cover a little later. But now that we're talking about deployment, Emil, would you like to talk about, and this is something Emil definitely wanted to share with you guys, and I know some of you guys actually use Cloudflare. Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Yes. So when we are hosting from a regional data center, clients and people that are visiting your site in a different region, a different continent, that request has to travel intercontinental. So what Cloudflare does, and Cloudflare's history and the experience actually comes from DNS and content delivery networks. So it's very convenient to very quickly add your domain to Cloudflare, point the A record to the Netlify server, which Petros will drop an IP for us in the comments there or put it in the description. Yeah. And that's a Netlify proxy server. And add your domain to the Netlify domain management under the project, and you will be good to go. The only part that can take time is to change your name servers to point to Cloudflare, so Cloudflare handles your DNS for you. It's free. It's got DDoS protection. It's got automatic SSL deployment, and it will enhance your Netlify deployment. I'm not taking away from Netlify here. We're enhancing your Netlify deployment. And it's a great place to centralize your domain management on DNS level. So when you get to things like integrating MX records for mail, and you have to do subdomains, all of that, Cloudflare makes it ridiculously easy. And bonus perk, I'm sitting with this problem as well myself. When you've got a new project with inbound mail, you want to create a contact at project domain name. You don't necessarily want to go create a inbox for it, or you don't want to go rent inbox space for it. It can get expensive when you've got multiple things happening at the same time. It's a free service in Cloudflare. It does automatic email forwarding. So you can go and set up a quick alias, contact at project, and you can set that to run to your Gmail account or to your other project account, or you can send it to your assistant, doesn't matter, shared inbox, doesn't matter. But it's free. So you can very quickly receive inbound mail very, very quickly for free by using Cloudflare with your DNS. So yeah, my motivation for Cloudflare is done. I can have a whole episode just on Cloudflare. Okay, are we quickly gonna come back to? No, you've got next up, Petros.
And then we'll bring on. Oh yes, am I muted? Let's see.
You're good. You're good.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah. Oh, I am muted. They say.
I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. So we'll be covering a little bit about DevPost, and shortly we'll be joined by another Discord mentor, Vera, will be helping us shortly. But real quick, a lot of you guys haven't submitted a project for a hackathon. I've seen questions, oh, I created a project. What do I do now? Well, you go to your DevPost. So this is going to be the site for our world's largest hackathon, .devpost.com. Once you are signed in and created an account for the hackathon, you're actually going to start a project here. And then from there, I just want to do a quick rundown on how to submit the project. So a lot of you are like, oh, wait, I have Teams. How do I submit it? Well, let's start first. You're going to send the invite link to your Teams. They're going to accept, and they're going to join your team link here. Or you can just share the secret invite link, which is fine. From there, you're actually going to do a project overview, talk about the name, put an elevator pitch, kind of a quick, short, sweet messaging about what your project does. Then you're going to go to your project details, which you'll talk about a lot more about your project. I not gonna lie, for the AWS MCP hackathon, I had like 5 minutes to submit before the deadline, so I just used ChatGPT. I was like, all right, here's my project, quick. Barely got it in time, and we ended up winning, so that was great. You can actually also enter your language models, your what languages, frameworks, APIs did you use. Definitely want to list them out, because if you're going to use the sponsors, they want to list it. So they want to make sure they know which sponsors to look out for. And then you can also try demo links, project links. So this is image gallery. Just make sure to take screenshots of your site. Super important. As well as a video link. So this is where you're going to record yourself. I recommend using OBS to record yourself. Add a little camera and kind of like talking through. I use the green screen, as you can see now, to just be over my site and just talk about, how my site works, why to use it. And additional info is going to be pretty extensive. So remember, there's going to be a lot more information in the rules and description for the hackathon available. We'll add the URL there. Kate, I don't know if you have access to that, but please, if possible, share the rules for the hackathon, which we cover extensively on the Discord. So yeah, again, join the Discord. You'll get all the information you need. So many people available. Insert the URL that's available, the bulk URL, as well as, when did you start creating this, which challenges you're submitting to. Now, of course, your project can submit to various challenges, and you can always submit more than one project, but just make sure to list these properly. And then from here, you're also going to add the additional relevant information. What bonus prizes are you submitting to? Of course, go through the rules, check out which ones you're applying for. Make sure that you actually add their API keys, as we showcased in the Supabase brief tutorial. But again, if any of this is above your head, check out our Discord. We're going to walk you through the entire process. We're going to leave no one behind. The mentors are amazing. Shout out to the mentors and Vera, who will be joining us shortly. Add organization name, region, because there's going to be regional pricing, as well as some other additional information. And lastly, once you're done with all that, you're going to be able to submit your project. You're going to click the terms and conditions and click submit. Now, of course, after you submit your project, you can always actually make edits and make changes. But that's the simple way of going to submit your hackathon project. And of course, if you haven't already, definitely sign up. Bolt is amazing. This is the best project I've ever seen, the best hackathon. So definitely check out the Hackathon webpage as well as the sites. I don't know if we can share those on the chat as well, but definitely if you're not already, also join the Bolt Discord. Now, with that being said, I'll be stopping my screen. Can we actually have Vera? Vera, are you in the StreamYard? I'd love to hop you in and actually introduce one of our Discord mentors. Hi, Vera. I think your mic is muted. Hi.
Hi, Pedro. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Perfectly. You're heard you loud
Yes.
and clear. We can see you. Thank you so much for joining us, Vera. I did a quick intro, but you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, and of course, I'll then ask you some questions along the way.
Sure. Thank you so much. I hope you can see me clearly. It's late here. So, my name is Vera, and I'm part of the amazing community mentors for this hackathon. And I'm actually a product designer as a profession. Okay, yes, but then my experience as a community mentor has been very good, and it's been very awesome. I love seeing people being happy, when you help them out and all of that. And shout out to all the mentors out there. They've been very great and been very amazing. And please, I would want to say a shout out to you, Petros and Email. You guys have really been very awesome, and I really love what you guys are doing. Please keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's our pleasure. Okay, so now that Veras has joined us, of course, there's so many Discord mentors available on our Discord. So if you haven't already, check out the link. Vera is one of the amazing people on there, so I definitely wanted to shout them out and actually have them join on this stream. We'll be talking about some of the questions in chat. I know a lot of people have been talking. Vera, if I think I might have sent you a link or so, but do you have any idea of like what are some common questions or common errors that a lot of people like joining for the first time might not be aware of, or something to keep in mind for that?
Yeah, so one of the major questions I keep getting from people is, the token usage. Okay, people tend to complain about how quickly their tokens get used up. So then we have a guide that tell people how best to go about using that token. So for example, there's a guide to that, and I'm sure Petros will share the link to that. But then one major step is for you to use the discourse mode. Okay, instead of you to just, if you just want to plan your idea or your application, you can just use the discuss mode, and both will help you discuss and fine tune your idea before you start building it. And with that, you can use your tokens effectively. Yeah. So, and another thing is about the one shot competition. Okay, so people do get confused, because when you give a prompt and people are not sure whether or not when they fix errors within the code, if that counts as one shot. Yeah, so the rule says that one shot competition is the app that you are able to build with one single shot. Okay, you are able to fix errors and do stuff within the code. Okay, but then if you want to use things like ChatGPT and the rest, you can actually do that. But then you just have to use one prompt, and whatever you do beyond that, you need to document your process to the judges. So basically, I think these are the top questions. I'm not sure if I missed out anything. Thank you, Petrus.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Yeah, I think a lot of people had some questions about, not only how do you submit your projects, like how do I work with certain sponsors, like if there's any of the above you need to have access to. I want to stress it again. The Discord community has been amazing. We'll be actually having a Discord mod for our next call, as well as some other mentors. But Vera is one of the amazing people who signed up for this hackathon. The important thing about this is because our mentors are very readily available from all over the world. Shout out again to Monica and Kate for putting this all together. Such a wonderful team, and a way for you to not only submit for the hackathon, but if you're like joining us for the first time, learning how to submit in general. We're seeing so many people submit from like all walks of life, as you mentioned, and I'm seeing like people in chat as well who also might come from different levels of coding and more so. So I think that's really important, and we're so glad that you and more people have been available for this. So let's go over some questions. I know that there was just some various ones here and there. Let's see if we can go over it. So I think the biggest question I got from here was that people were wondering like whether or not we can have access to it. Again, want to shout out again, Emil will be sharing the PRD information. This will be on our video description. It's been shared also in our chats, but we can definitely share the prompt, but essentially the first part of the prompt is not that difficult. The framework for doing it is actually you build a generic prompt, and of course Bolt has a enhance button in the prompt itself, so you can actually enhance your regular prompts. But we're taking it a step further. You're going to submit like, okay, I want to build a pet site. Go to Grok, get that initial prompt there for like getting the prompt builds, and then enhancing it using Claude. And then at the end of that, once you have the enhanced projects, I definitely recommend, and this is something people don't do, they just like copy and paste. Look through your prompt. Let's read through what it's asking before. Let's read through like what it's building. Let's decide. And of course, when you're starting for the first time, it can be very difficult to understand. But after a while, you are actually then you understand the general framework for how to apply that. So definitely, we'll apply the PRD information at the end of all on the video description of this recording, as well as more so. So let's go through the questions. Saving so many tokens by working with LLMs like Claude before prompting by Bolt. Yeah, shout out to Beverly Pell. Using a pre-planning, especially in the age of AI, is so important. Being able to provide this extra information will not only give you a better backend for saving tokens, but it'll give your bolts a more context window for them to understand whether or not they can be processed more so. Yeah, so we covered some of the Supabase things. Let's go through here. Great to run through separate. Shout out to AJ Marks. Great run through on Supabase. Oh, my pleasure. Definitely wanted to make it quick and easy because I know this is more advanced, so we'll have like various topics in regards to that. So when is the next hackathon? Well, Shay is asking, when is the next hackathon? I know this isn't something that me and Vera know, but there's so many hackathons available worldwide, and now that you're using programs like Built to make it easier than ever to be able to submit. And here's the thing, eventually you don't even need a hackathon. I've been actually, I think this like last Saturday, I spent 16 hours just pure building and learning. So just straight. So with tools like this, and of course use the hackathons like this to learn and develop, really important to be able to learn your skills and being able to launch sites and more so. Let's see, Patrick Menaku Junior says, submitted a random video for my project during submission. Will that count as spam project, or will I submit a valid video before deadline? Yeah, you can always edit your projects. Like, I don't think they're checking any submissions before then. Definitely edit your projects and definitely check out the rules. Let me see if I can pull that up here in regards to the hackathon requirements. You definitely want to make sure that you go through the rules and make sure that you cover that regard. I'll put it in our chat with other links as well. In regards to the largest file size, it's Google Docs. It's better to just go on our Discord and we'll have mentors help you out in regards to that. I'll share some links to me and Emil's social media. Emil's hopping on shortly, but the rules page is going to be super important. There's so much resources available, especially when it comes to more so. Oh, Vera, we're getting some. Anna Perez is saying, hi, Vera. Pepper says hi, Vera. I don't know if you know that there might be other mentors.
No, I think probably they are part of the builders on Discord. Hi everyone. It's nice to meet you guys.
Perfect. Mad Scent is like, I'm not the only one who can't hear the discussion. Don't worry. We'll have a recorded video of this later after this is done. This is live on the YouTube, on the X. Can we use another way to upload it to Netlify? Yes. So there are other ways to upload to Netlify apart from the deploy. You can go a little bit more manual, but I definitely recommend, if it's your first time, just keep it simple. A lot of people are running into issues by using like third-party integrations that aren't easy to do, especially if it's more advanced. So keep it simple. Just use the deploy. You connect to your Netlify. But if you do want to go more advanced, I recommend connecting to our Discord mentors who will just walk you through the step-by-step of how to like get that process going. And of course, you can brainstorm using AI and more so. Kind of like a placeholder, continue edit if necessary. Okay, so Claude Hobson on YouTube is saying, "Oh, that's interesting, Petro. So you're saying we can submit a project kind of like a placeholder and continue to edit if necessary." That's been my experience. Of course, I'm not submitting for this particular hackathon, but from my previous hackathons, yes, you can edit your posts on DevPost, but just to be safe, submit a working project just in case it doesn't run to errors for some reason, and more so. Bulyup, oh, this is a really important question. Bulyup says, "Can we use Cursor?" Great question. We get it all the time. The rules are very strict in terms of what you can or can't do. I don't know if you want to answer this, Vera. I have like my placeholder answer, but if you want to, you can. It's up to you. I have something ready if not.
Yeah, sure, you can answer that, but then the rule is actually very, very clear in that regard. You need to build mostly on boats. You can actually have other applications to help you here and there, but then it should be very clear that the whole application was mostly built on both. So regardless of how you go about it, you have to make sure that the app is mostly built on Bolt, and it should be evident. Yeah.
Yeah, and the important thing also is the rules are very strict in terms of cursor, because like I know a lot of people use that. But the thing is, you must deploy off Bolt, and your build has to be built with Bolt, because cursor being a code editor, you only can use other features if it's something that Bolt can't do. And if it's something like code editing or building edits, that's something that Bolt can do. So we are not judges. Definitely check out the rules that we shared. Remember, I would say better safe than sorry. Just use Bolt. If you run into issues, that's somewhere you can ask a mentor via Discord. But definitely, we're seeing a lot of that. I made very clear, I think, when this hackathon started, definitely check out the rules. Okay, quick. Before we end, we have some quick comments on X as well. Girus Ken says, ran out of my 10 million package tokens before realizing I could have used chat. Yes, Bolt has a discussion mode. I don't know if you're aware of this. Save some tokens. It'll still use some tokens, but way less so being able to process and kind of go back and forth within Bolt, being able to chat. Definitely important, very important. Mike J says, will y'all be posting the PRD from this video so we will use it as an example template? Yes, we'll be sharing that the prompt at the end that Emil shared in regards to that, which is going to be very important. But of course, guys, more than importantly in that, Vera and I are not Bolt staff. We are mentors. We are not judges either. If you haven't already, the most important thing, when it comes to anything in regards to your project, check out the rules. That is your bread and butter in terms of submitting for this hackathon, as well as more so. And like I say, better safe than sorry. Double check the rules, ask questions on the Discord. And again, if you haven't, you'll meet wonderful people like Vera, who was so graciously joining us today, as well as meeting some other people that we'll talk about tomorrow. So while we are ending this stream, the last 5 minutes, I do want to do a quick shout out to you, the people submitting into this hackathon. I know this whole month has been very difficult. It's been a lot of ups and downs. A lot of you are learning how to use AI tools for the first time. And I know it can be very stressful, but Bolt has done such an amazing job getting the community together to get you guys access to the best mentors, the best community. There's people like Emil who's available live stream all the time, almost all the time, to talk about some of your problems. There's mentors like Vera who's going to be helping you out with some of your questions. Of course, check out the Discord. There's going to be a hashtag questions, hashtag help, where you can ask questions. And there's also a big community there. When you're building, the best way to learn is to learn together. And I definitely recommend it. And that's why we have series like this available. I do want to shout out, of course, to all the mentors who are watching, all the mentors in the Discord, our moderators, as well as our staff. Monica and Kate have done such an amazing job putting this all together. Thank you so much. I know Donald's been involved too. So if you haven't already, let's get a shout out to them. If you could just say thanks, Monica. If this has helped you, please say thanks, Monica, and thanks, Kate, in the chat. They brought this all together. So thank you so much for not only setting this up, but also getting us the whole procedures for helping everyone succeed in this hackathon. We're so excited for you guys for this hackathon. I know it's so, can be really daunting being able to learn for the first time, but there's never been a better time to submit. And of course, if you haven't already, I think we put the social links for me and Emil. So if you want to follow us, we'd love to connect. We want to add more friends. If you learn anything from this call, hop on the Discord. We have so many tools available for you guys to learn. And if you haven't already, we'll also be going live tomorrow, same time. So Milo and I will be live. It'll be a less technical, more practical advice. If you don't know how to grow on your portfolio, how do you get clients? How do I come from a already existing developer? How do I use social media to grow our presence? We have exceptional people who've gained clients, who've grown thousands of followers on social media. Never a better time to learn than today. We have all the tools available. If you haven't already, give it again. Big shout out to Monica and Kate for getting this all together. Vera, any last words on your part? Do you want to just share how has this hackathon been for you? Any last words? We have a minute and a half left.
Yeah, sure. So thank you so much for everything. So I want to reiterate that for those who are not yet on the Discord channel, I would encourage you to join, because it's really it's really hot very, very well over there. So you learn a lot, you throw a question, and it's not just about the mentors. You get other fellow builders, answering your questions, and it's very, very lively there. So try and join if you have not joined. I don't know if the link has been shared, for those who are not there, for them to join. Yes, aside that, I would like to encourage everybody, who is participating in this hackathon to keep pushing. I know it's very stressful and daunting, but then, you've come this far. fast. So just try to get to the end. Thank you so much.
All right, we have 45 seconds. Emil, take it away.
Okay, quickly share my screen there. I want to show you guys what we built in this session right now, just to show we're not cheating. Here's the original prompt we had with our document management system. And then it kicked off into our phase one. And I want to show you this absolutely stunner of a landing page that was built while we were talking.
Power of PRD, ladies and gentlemen.
The power of PRD. Doing it right. Landing page is ready. You spend a few more minutes rigging up a wait list and you're good to go. So I'm very impressed. Very, very impressed that we've managed to crack out a stunning landing page for its intended purpose, and this is a live example. Love it. Thank you, Bolt.
Thank you all. Be sure to follow our Discord. Join the Bolt Discord. You'll get to meet people like Vera. Add me or Emil on our links. And thank you guys so much. See you guys tomorrow, same time. We'll cover some exceptional topics. Thank you guys for joining.
Bye-bye. Good stuff.